Microphone. Your cameras. Okay. We're now in the last part of the metabolism. We talked about the Krebs cycle. Uh, so most of our energy-rich compounds are formed there, and it is central to metabolism because it is also the pathway of other uh, uh, food groups like proteins and fatty acids. So that's why the Krebs cycle is important. Okay, but the Krebs cycle itself is not what will form most of the ATPs. Okay, so sa mga steps na binanggit natin, glycolysis and Krebs cycle, this is part of aerobic respiration. But the final uh, receiver of these the final production of ATPs, or most of the ATPs, are produced in the last process, which is the electron transport chain or oxidative phosphorylation. So punta tayo dun sa oxidative phosphorylation. Okay. So you produce NADH at saka FADH in the process of in the Krebs cycle and also in glycolysis. In the electron transport chain, the NADH and the FADH2 will transfer their electrons to certain complexes found in the inner membrane of the mitochondria to help produce the ATP. Okay, so again, yung saan mahanap yung mga protein complexes na yan? Nasa inner membrane ng mitochondria. Okay, let's look at this in detail. Okay, so dito sa taas, yung cytoplasm mo. Tapos ito yung outer mitochondrial membrane. Tapos nandito yung inner mitochondrial membrane. So dito sa matrix, dito na nangyayari yung Krebs cycle. Dito sa gitna, between the outer and the inner mitochondrial membrane, they call it the intermembrane space. Okay. So what happens during electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation? So first, your molecule NADH transfers its electrons to complex 1. Okay. So in so doing, magpapump siya ng mga H+, or these are hydrogen ions, into the intermembrane space. Okay? So magkaka-build up ka ng hydrogen ion, or another term for that, kasi since tinanggalan mo yung electron ang isang hydrogen atom, so bali proton na lang siya. So another term for the hydrogen ion is the proton. So magkakaroon ng proton gradient. Ibig sabihin hindi balance yung concentration ng H+ dito sa intermembrane space at doon sa loob. Okay? So nagkaka-build up yan. So isipin natin parang waterfalls na mas maraming tubig dito, eventually babagsak siya. Okay? So ganun yung analogy. So dito sa complex 2, ang gagamitin, ang magta-transfer naman ng electrons dito yung FADH2 mo. Okay? So electrons are transferred here. it does not lead to pumping of the hydrogen ions dito sa intermembrane space. Pero ano, dahil sa transfer ng electrons, it will help facilitate that. Okay? Kasi tinatransport naman ng electrons eh. So basically, your electrons will be transferred into a special coenzyme called coenzyme Q. Another term for this is ubiquinone. So yan, coenzyme Q na lang. Co-Q na lang para madaling banggitin. Okay? So once the electrons are transferred there, it's a complex 3. Ito naman magpapump uli ng mga hydrogen ions. So mas maraming build up dito. Eventually, the electrons will be transferred to cytochrome C. And dito sa complex 4, so hydrogen ions are again pumped into the intermembrane space. Tapos yung final acceptor ng lahat ng electrons na yan, and the reason why we breathe.
Sir, excuse me po.
Yes?
Pa-accept daw po.
Okay.
Thank you po.
So the reason why we breathe in oxygen, para maging final acceptor nitong electron transport chain. So yung 4 hydrogen ions mo, magiging magsasama sa oxygen molecule, sa O2, to form 2H2O. Okay? So oras na hindi ka nag-breathe in ng oxygen, mag-stop yung electron transport chain and sa starve yung cell and leading to ano. So kaya importante na humihinga ka. So that's aerobic respiration, no? Okay, so we talked about this buildup of hydrogen ions dito sa intermembrane space. So parang waterfalls na eventually babagsak siya. So all this buildup of hydrogen ions will lead to or will allow us to create ATPs. So dito yung pinakamaraming ATPs na mapoproduce natin. Okay? So yung hydrogen ions na yan, papasok dito sa ATP synthase. So from the name itself, it synthesizes ATP. So yan yung oxidative phosphorylation. Nagdadagdag ka ng phosphate sa ADP. Okay? So kung titingnan mo to sa may mga animation ito, no? Para siya talagang rotor, para siyang motor na pagpasok ng each hydrogen ions iikot. So parang molecular motor siya na umiikot, no? So para siyang watermill or yan nga, parang dam na hina-harness mo tong build up ng hydrogen ions to produce the ATPs. So most of the ATPs that you produce is through here. Okay? So kung yung pinag-aralan yung mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So lahat ng process na yan, glycolysis, Krebs cycle, it will finally lead to here sa electron transport chain. Okay. So ayun. So you use molecular oxygen as the oxidizing agent. So it is the final acceptor of the electrons in the electron transport chain. So the energy release in the reoxidation is coupled to the synthesis of ATP from ADP and phosphate by the enzyme ATP synthase. Okay, so again, key things here, yung hydrogen ion concentration gradient. So ibig sabihin ng gradient, nag-build up ka ng hydrogen ions dun sa kabilang side. So eventually, babalik siya sa matrix. So the energy for synthesizing the ATP comes from allowing the hydrogen ions to flow back across the membrane. Okay. Okay, this came from a book. Pero may mga recent studies na that will give another number of ATP. So wag kayong malito, no. So may mga current studies na naging precise na yung calculation nila dun sa ATPs produced by each of these energy-rich molecules, no? So tandaan natin yung each step. Sa isang glucose, 'di ba, mahati siya sa dalawang pyruvate, no? So dun sa isang glucose, dito sa glycolysis, ang net na maproproduce mong ATP will be 2. Okay? Tapos, yung sa NADH, mapaproduce mo ang 2. 2 rin yung mapaproduce mong NADH kasi nga dalawang pyruvate. Okay? So, ang total mo dyan sa glycolysis will be 2 ATPs. And the ATPs produced from the NADH range from 4 to 6. Okay? So, around 2 to 3 per NADH. Yung ito mga mas lumang calculations to, no? And then in oxidative decarboxylation, ito yung process na yung pyruvate mo nagiging acetyl coenzyme A. So bawat acetyl coenzyme A magpaproduce ka ng NADH, pero since dalawa nga yan sa glucose, you produce twice the number of NADH. So times 3, you produce 6 ATP total. Okay. Doon naman sa Krebs cycle, for each cycle, each acetyl coenzyme A, you produce 3 NADH, 1 FADH2, and 1 GTP, which will become ATP eventually. So, yon, since dalawang acetyl coenzyme A, madodoble yung yung number of NADH, FADH2 at saka ATP. So, total for 1 glucose will be 6 NADH, 2 FADH2 at saka 2 ATP. Okay? And since we form 3 ATPs from NADH, that's 6 times 3, so 18. Sa FADH2 mo naman, meron kang dalawa for each FADH, so 2 times 2 will be 4. And then you add the ATPs there, yung mapoproduce mo independently from the electron transport chain, meron kang 2 ATP, so 36 to 38 ATPs total. Okay, so we'll stick to this. Although you will encounter more modern text na mas precise yung assignment nila sa total ATP, no? So baka malito kayo magbabasa kayo ng ibang books, tapos makita kayo ibang calculation ng ATP. So sa ibang books kasi ang calculations nila, or the more modern, based on the current studies, yung NADH mo na mapoproduce, ang ATP mo mapoproduce sa each NADH is 2.5. Okay? Tapos sa FADH2 naman, 1.5 ATPs mapoproduce mo. So, ayun, wag lang kayo malito. Pero ang range naman ng bibigay ko dun sa multiple choice will be around this range. Hindi naman natin i-exactong calculate yung ATPs. Ang importante, you get the general area or general amount of ATPs if it's glucose or if it's a fatty acid. Okay? Kasi may mga complex naman kasi sa totoong nangyari sa cell. Merong nangyari na gluconeogenesis, merong glycolysis. So it's really not important that we know the exact ATPs, no? So marami kasing process na nangyayari sa mitochondria. But what's important, you have the ballpark figure of ATPs produced for each glucose. Okay, so that's for glucose, no? So let's go to protein metabolism. Kung wala kayong tanong dun sa metabolism. dito sa protein metabolism, medyo complex yung process kasi iba-iba yung amino acid mo. Hindi natin basta-basta makakalculate yung ATPs kasi may iba-ibang pathway yan, depende sa structure ng amino acid. Okay, so for each amino acid, yan, may mga different pathways yan nakita natin dito. So depende sa structure, it can go into the acetyl coenzyme pathway. Depende sa state mo kung starvation or sapat na yung kinain mo. Iba-iba yung metabolic pathway niya. But the key thing here is it will eventually find itself in the Krebs cycle if the body needs additional sources of energy. Okay? So tingnan natin from the start ang metabolism ng proteins. So hindi ko naman papamemorize sa inyo, no? So Christmas gift ko na sa inyo, hindi ko na papamemorize lahat ng pathway dyan. But it's important that you know that there are different pathways for these amino acids. So basically, your proteins are digested. It starts in the stomach. So magkakaroon ng denaturation because of the stomach acids. And then you have pepsin also, which breaks down to shorter polypeptide chains. So pagdating mo sa small intestines, you have additional enzymes which break down the polypeptides. So specific siya sa mismong peptide bond. So meron kang trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase. So these are specific enzymes that they break specific bonds, type of polypeptide bonds. So they come from the pancreas. And then from your small intestine brush zones, you have aminopeptidase. So eventually, you create these free amino acids. Okay. So most of our amino acids, especially for those growing kids, kailangan nila ng mga amino acids para para sa mga pag-form ng muscles, pag-form ng mga structure sa body. So for growing kids, kailangan may constant supply ng mga essential amino acids. Okay? So kung i-limit nyo lang sa leafy, yung vegetarian diet, medyo limiting yung mga sources of amino acids, no? It's better na mas mas diverse. So pati animal protein. Siguro pag tanda na siguro, pag adults na kayo, di nyo kailangan gawa ng mga body proteins. So okay na siguro na mag-vegetarian kayo. Pero if you're pregnant or if you're a growing kid, kailangan nyo yung protein sources. So dapat diverse yung food sources mo. Huwag nyo i-limit sa sa isang food group lang. Kung napapansin niyo yung mga vegetarian na pregnant women, nagiging anemic sila, no? So kulang sila ng mga hemoglobin. Ito dahil direct reason yan is yung kulang yung food sources nila kasi panay dahon lang. So, ganun din. Pati yung mga pets nyo, wag nyo naman, yung mga vegetarian na mga owners, wag nyo naman idamay yung pets nyo. Gawin yung vegetarian. Yun. So anyway, yeah. So the most of the proteins that we take in is used to build up our body, especially when we're feasting. or sapat naman kinakain natin, 3 times a day tayo kumakain, hindi tayo nagugutom. So this goes to your amino acid pool, and then you can also form yung non-essential amino acids. Kumbaga, may mga amino acids tayo na nagagawa ng katawan. These are called non-essential amino acids. So you can create these amino acids through fatty acid degradation or carbohydrates. So basta non-essential, may way yung katawan gumawa ng amino acids nito. Yung kailangan lang yung mga essential amino acids kailangan na sa diet nyo. And then of course you have the protein turnover. So these are your old tissues, mga damaged tissues, and you have recycled enzymes and hormones. So we break down yung rin ng katawan yan into your free amino acids. So let's repeat, no? So sa stomach mo nag-start yung digestion, magde-denature ng mga proteins, and pepsin will hydrolyze them. It will be broken down to polypeptides. Pagdating sa small intestines, you still hydrolyze the peptide bonds by the specific enzymes, trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase, and aminopeptidase, until they become amino acids, and they're they're actively transported through the intestinal lining to the bloodstream. Okay. So, yun, yung amino acids na kailangan ng katawan, di na kailangan mag-breakdown yun kasi gagamitin na, di ba? So, yung DNA natin, we learned that your DNA codes for the mRNA. The mRNA will go to the ribosome and they will get specific tRNA na may amino acids to build the proteins that we need in our body. Okay. Pero paano pag taggutom, no? So wala kang carbohydrate source. So magagamit ba natin yung yung proteins na yan? Okay? So yeah, we can do that through transamination and oxidative deamination. So there are 2 steps in degrading amino acids. One is to remove the alpha amino group, because the buildup of this amino group is poisonous to the body. And then you eventually break down and process the carbon skeleton para magamit natin to make glucose through gluconeogenesis or some other processes. So there are 2 steps for the release of the amino group. One is transamination, meaning you transfer the amine group to another molecule and then use that molecule to remove the amine group. So pupunta siya sa common molecule, tapos yung common molecule na yun matatanggalan ng amine. And that amine is that amino acid is called glutamate. So free siya lumabas sa bloodstream. So ito yung pinaka-importante metabolically sa mga amino acids kasi ta-transfer yung mga amine groups dito sa glutamate. Itong glutamate will be processed. Ito yung matatanggalan ng amine or through deamination. Okay? So tandaan natin yung mga structures na yan: alanine, aspartic, glutamate, and glutamine. So they have higher concentration in mammalian cells. So bakit importante itong glutamate? Basically, if we're going to utilize this amino acids as energy source, so kailangan natin i-break down muna yung amino acid. And to do that, we have to transfer the amine the amino group. Okay, so itong alanine for example, para ma-utilize siya for energy, matatransfer tong amino group dun sa oxoglutarate. So kung matatanda nyo to sa Krebs cycle, no, this is actually alpha-ketoglutarate. So matatransfer mo yung NH3 dito sa carbon na to na may carbonyl oxygen. So pag na-transfer na yan, magiging glutamate na siya, no? Look at the structure. So from this structure, oxoglutarate, magiging glutamate na siya. So yung alanine mo, matatanggalan ng NH3, magiging C double bond O. So this is actually pyruvate, di ba? So this is actually pyruvate, yung structure na to. So tinanggalan mo ng NH3. So magkakaroon ng C double bond O dyan. So it is pyruvate. This is one of the structures I want you to know. And then yung oxoglutarate mo magiging glutamate siya. So itong carbon na to, yung C double bond O magiging magkakaroon ng NH3 at saka hydrogen. Okay? So magiging glutamate. Now, ang enzyme na ginagamit dyan ay transaminase. And this is used for diagnosing disorders. Okay? So for example, sa liver mo, since sa liver nagta-transaminate ka or tinatransfer mo yung NH3 group din sa alanine, pag na-detect yan sa blood mo, ibig sabihin nagre-release ka ng enzymes ng alanine aminotransferase sa blood, ibig sabihin meron kang dead or dying liver tissue. Okay? So that is used to measure, that is used for diagnostic purposes. So ano siya, indicative na meron kang dead or dying liver tissue pag na-release sa blood. Kasi dapat sa liver lang yan. Okay, another example. Ito naman nasa loob ng mga heart cells. So yung aspartate mo, so take note yung NH3 group mo uli. Nilipat uli dito sa oxoglutarate dun sa C double bond O. So in effect, you will also create glutamate. So magkakaroon ka uli ng glutamate. Tapos yung aspartate mo, magiging oxaloacetate. So familiar yan na intermediate sa Krebs cycle. Okay? So when it's found in the heart tissue, in the bloodstream, ibig sabihin yung enzyme mo pag nahanap yan sa bloodstream mo, ibig sabihin nagka-heart attack ka. So this is measured in blood for diagnosing myocardial infarction, or in other words, heart attack. So pag mataas yung aspartate aminotransferase mo, ibig sabihin nagka-heart attack. Okay? So this is one of the metabolic pathways of aspartate para magamit siya sa as energy. Okay, so to sum up, transaminases share a common substrate and product. So mag-start ka sa oxoglutarate. So another name for that is alpha-ketoglutarate. And yung product mo is glutamate. So palaging magkasama yan. Oxoglutarate, lalagyan ng amine, magiging glutamate siya. So this is done by the transaminases, different transaminases, specific sa amino acid. Tapos pag yung glutamate mo naman, magpupunta sa bloodstream, dyan na matatanggalan ng amine through the glutamate dehydrogenase. So through this process, we permit combined nitrogen excretion pathway for the individual amino acid. So may common paglalagyan yung amine, which is glutamate, para para madali lang yung metabolic process natin. Okay? So glutamate has a central role in the overall control of nitrogen metabolism. Okay. So yon, yung glutamate mo matatanggalan ng amine, magiging alpha-ketoglutarate. So babalik uli yung process, no? So magpe-pick up na naman yung alpha-ketoglutarate mo ng bagong amine from another amino acid. So the glutamate produced from the transamination is then deaminated by oxidative deamination using the enzyme glutamate dehydrogenase. So it's recycled back to the ketodiacid and then releases ammonia. So pwede mo nang ulit gamitin yung ketoglutarate para mag-pick up ng amino groups sa mga different amino acids. So may reversible yung process, no? So ang common na enzyme dyan ay glutamate dehydrogenase. So yung pag convert ng glutamate to alpha ketoglutarate, it uses NAD. Pag pabaliktad naman, the reverse reaction uses NADPH. Okay, bakit kailangan tanggalin yung ammonium salts or ammonia? So ayaw natin mag-build up sa katawan. Bakit? Kasi yung ammonium ions, they favor the synthesis of excessive amounts of glutamate. So pag nag-excess yung glutamate mo, remember yung reversible process natin ng ketoglutarate, alpha-ketoglutarate at saka glutamate mo. Kasi hindi nga balanse yon, magkakos ng decrease in ATP production. Kumbaga maapektuhan yung Krebs cycle mo pag masyado mataas yung ammonium ions mo. So this will affect the nervous system. So oxidative deamination converts glutamate to alpha-ketoglutarate. So it's an easy shift equilibrium reaction. So the way for the body to remove this excess ammonia is through creating the molecule urea. Tapos ma-eliminate natin yan through the urine. So this is now the urea cycle. Okay? Paano natin tanggalin yung mga amine sa blood? So the inputs to the urea cycle are the ammonia, carbon dioxide, aspartic acid, and ATP. And the outputs will be fumarate, adenosine diphosphate, and fumaric, fumarate, ADP, at saka urea. Okay. So saan galing yung carbonyl group ng urea? So yung input nga niyan, carbon dioxide. So with the use of ATPs, 2 ATP gagamitin mo, you combine carbon dioxide and NH3, you form carbamyl phosphate. So ito yung counterpart ng acetyl coenzyme A sa Krebs cycle. So ito yung starting material natin for the urea cycle. So parang similar yung urea cycle dito sa Krebs cycle, no. So the first step in the urea cycle you have the carbamoyl phosphate will combine with the ornithine in the mitochondrial matrix. So sa loob to ng matrix ng mitochondria, uh, you will combine these two molecules to form citrulline. Okay? Then citrulline is transported out of the mitochondria. And then with aspartate, you form argininosuccinate. So this process is condensation. So ang enzyme involved here is